Hello, am I audible, student?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, everyone can see the screen, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right, everyone, switch on your videos. Let's start today's class. So, in the previous class, we had discussed up until the 2 points of the evolution theory, which is natural selection and branching descent. Today, we'll continue. So Darwin's theory is based on certain observations which are factual. What are the observations made by Darwin? So he made the observation that natural resources are obviously limited. The amount of water, the amount of, you can say, things that are available, these are limited. And populations are stable in size. Variation between the member of population is there, and most of the variations are inherited, meaning some sort of changes or introduction of new characters are inherited. Now, what are the key points of this Darwinian theory? Overproduction, resources are limited, intra-specific competition. For example, this is the amount of resource. So for this resource, there are several species competing. Like for example, if there's a lake that has water, so like the deer and the different organisms of the jungle, like that are herbivores, they are also coming to the same lake to drink water. So is the lion and the tiger. So there's a competition. Some members have certain variation, and because of the presence of variation, some organisms can adapt much better. These members, they produce more progeny as compared to the others. Whichever organism will be, you can say, superior, or which will have, you can say, the best kind of condition, they will be able to leave more progeny and thereby evolve, thereby be selected by the nature. Is it clear, students? Also, everyone, switch on your videos quickly. Everyone means everyone. I'll also share NCERT PDF here so that we can compare and study. So as I was discussing, when we talk about these like examples of the Darwinian theory or how evolution has taken place, there's industrial melanism, which is very important. This is something that is asked many times. Then microbes colony under given medium, man-made selection, and accordingly, what are evolutions that are caused by man-made selection? The one that is the most important is industrial melanism. So according to industrial melanism, what happens is that during the stage in England wherein there was no industrialization done, meaning pre-industrialization stage, there were a lot of moths that were white winged. They had wings that were white in color because at that point of time there was very less population. Population nahi, pollution. So accordingly, what happens is that because of the less pollution, the moth, they were white in color. And during that time, the trees, they were covered with lichen that are whitish in color as well. Now, lichen, they are the indicators of pollution. So they will never grow in those areas that are polluted. So what happens is that this tree that had white moth present, if by chance any dark colored moth was present, so that moth was eaten by the bird and the white one was naturally selected. Whereas during the industrialization, like when industries were setting up, during that time, the smoke from the industries, it start polluting the tree. See, this is the comparison, right? So during the pre-fertilization, pre-industrialization, the tree trunk was very light in color. Okay, it was light, and the moth, they were whitish in color. So if this was the moth that was, sat like sitting on the tree, so this was picked up by the bird and eaten. On the other hand, after the industrialization was done, so during that, the tree trunks became dark due to industrial smoke and soot. So under this condition, the white winged moth did not survive because predators ate them. whereas the dark ones, it camouflaged, so it survived. So before industrialization, white moth, they survived. After industrialization, black moth survived. Right? So this is how natural selection works. Depending upon the condition, whichever organism will be most suitable for that condition will survive and will have, you can say, progeny. But always remember that no population is completely wiped out. It's not that members will be removed, but not everything. So this is what is meant by the industrial melanism. After that, there is the case of microbial colony that, for example, in a Petri plate, you've given right amount of nutrients and everything, and you're growing bacteria. So those bacteria that have that capability to utilize the nutrient, they will grow, they will flourish, and they will increase in number. Whereas the bacteria that do not have that efficiency, they'll not grow, they'll not increase in number. So the ones that have that efficiency, they will be selected by the nature, and the other will not be selected by the nature. Is it clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Any doubts? Similarly, excessive use of herbicides and pesticides. Now, there are some herbs, there are some pests that basically become resistant. Like these things do not work on them anymore. Okay. So basically, in this case, what happens is that they have become resistant, and since they are resistant, so these things will not work on them anymore and they'll survive. So again, they are getting selected naturally. So that is it. Understood? So hence, resistant organisms or the cells, they are appearing in a time scale of months or years and not centuries, because their lifespan is also very small. So these are the examples of evolution by anthropogenic action. Anthropogenic action means human, man-made actions. It is a stochastic process based on the events in nature and chance mutation in the organism. So if you see here, when we talk about the human action, selective breeding and domestication. Now man has bred selected plants and animals. Human beings create several breeds, right, for agriculture, for horticulture, or sports, or even security. So human created new breeds by selective breeding and domesticated them, put them into the human use. It means that the nature can create new species, but when nature will create a new species, it will take millions of years. But when human was doing it, happened quickly. That is also anthropogenic action, that is man-made action. Any doubts up until now, students?
No, ma'am.
Adaptive radiation, we have already discussed. Now, talking about the biological evolution. Now, the evolution that takes place by natural selection, it happens when the life forms were cell-like, cellular life forms, right? The essence of Darwinian theory about evolution is natural selection. Like Darwin's theory tells a lot about natural selection. Now, the rate of appearance of new life is linked to the life cycle or the lifespan. Obviously, when one organism will die, there are several more organisms that are added. When we talk about microorganisms, since they have a very small lifespan, that is merely some hours or maximum 1 week, not more than that. So they have that ability, they divide much faster and they'll become millions and millions in population within few hours. So let's just say a colony of bacteria A growing on a given medium, they have this ability to use the medium and they'll grow more. And out of that, the population B, they can survive under new conditions. So this population will outgrow the other population and become a new species in themselves. This would happen within days because their lifespan is very, very short. So for the same thing to happen in a fish or a fowl, that is any kind of bird or anything, it will take millions of years in order to form that. Understood? So that is why we say that the fitness of B is better than the fitness of A in the new condition. Nature selects for fitness. This is very important. Which type of fitness are we talking about? The fitness is reproductive fitness. those organisms that will be, you can say, better suitable or better fitted to reproduce, they'll leave more progeny and thereby get more selected by the nature as compared to the organisms that are not getting selected or they are weaker in terms of reproduction. So hence, there must be a genetic basis for getting selected and to evolve. Another way of saying the same thing is that organisms are better adapted to survive in an otherwise hostile environment. So adaptive ability is inherited. It is passed on from one generation to another generation. And this fitness is the end wherein the organism will get adapted and get selected by the nature. Then comes branching descent and natural selection. So branching descent and natural selection, these are the two key concepts of Darwin's theory that talks about evolution. So even before Darwin, there was this French naturalist, Lamarck. He gave a theory of Lamarck, like which is called as Lamarckism. What he said is that he told us a theory about use and disuse of organs. So he said, for example, if an organ is being used a lot, that organ will evolve and be found in the next generation. And the organs that are not being used a lot, they will not. This is what Lamarck said, which is obviously not like the right thing, it's nonsense. So he gave the example of giraffe. He said that earlier, giraffe used to have small neck. So they used to feed on the lower plants. Because they fed on the lower plants, the population of the lower plants was declining. So now they had to feed on the longer trees. So for that, they start to elongate their neck so as to reach it. Now, because they kept it doing so, their necks elongated and this was sent to the next generation also. But obviously, no one believes this theory because it is. Any doubts up until now, students?
No, ma'am.
So according to Darwin, small continuous variation, like see what Darwin said and what different, you can say, scientists that were there at that time, like Hugo de Vries, like Lamarck. So they all had different views on how evolution takes place. The most accepted one out there is the one that is given by Darwin. So according to Darwin, small continuous variation, small variation, continuous variation, these are going to cause evolution. Whereas Hugo de Vries, he believed that mutation, like which is sudden, that happens, which is a large, that would cause evolution. Darwinian variation are small, but mutational variation, that is Hugo de Vries variation, they are large and directionless because it is about mutation. Darwin thought that evolution was gradual process. Okay, but gradual means slowly it is taking place. But Hugo de Vries said that it is a single step large mutation. Like in one step, the whole entire evolution, the whole entire mutation will cause. Now, the main thing that Darwin took into consideration was natural selection. Those organisms that are better fit, they will get selected by the nature. Whereas Hugo de Vries said, mutation is the cause of evolution. Any doubts, students, up until now? After that, there comes the Hardy-Weinberg law. Now, according to Hardy-Weinberg, where is it? This part that NCERT says that in a given population, one can find out the frequency of any gene, any allele in a, or you can say in the population. Okay, but remember that this frequency, like for example, there is one generation which has a certain set of alleles present in them. So that is supposed to be fixed in every generation because it will be inherited. So Hardy-Weinberg, they said the same thing, but they used mathematics to explain it. So this principle says that the allele frequencies in a population, they are stable and constant from one generation to another generation. The gene pool, meaning the total genes that are there or their alleles like tall, toss, round, wrinkle, anything. they are constant. It's not going to change. This is called as genetic equilibrium. According to Hardy-Weinberg, the sum total of all the allelic frequency is 1, which is constant value. So individual frequency can be named as P and Q. So in a diploid cell, meaning when two sets are present, the P can be represented as P square. The Q can be represented as Q square. Let's just say the P is representing a dominant allele, whereas Q is representing a recessive allele. So that is like the frequency of AA is P square, small a is Q square. And when we talk about heterozygous, wherein there is a capital A and a small a, so we write it as P and Q. So he gave this equation, P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1. This is the expansion of A square plus B square, like A plus B whole square. So when the frequency is measured and when it differs from the expected value, then we can calculate or we can understand that, okay, yes, evolution is indeed taking place. So the difference or the direction indicates the extent of evolutionary change. So disturbance in genetic equilibrium or in the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, it will be changing the frequency of allele and it will change from one generation to another generation, leading to evolution ultimately. Is it clear, students? So according to this particular law, this is what the write-up part is. So the Hardy-Weinberg law, the British mathematician G.H. Hardy and German physician, that is W. Weinberg, they proposed the concept of genetic structure of non-evolving population, which we call as Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, meaning it states about something that is not evolving, which is constant. So this states that allele and genotype frequencies in an ideal population will remain constant, passing from one generation to another generation if there are no influence. So for an ideal condition, like what are the population conditions that are ideal? Random mating should occur. There should be no mutation, no migration, no natural selection, and it should have a large population. These are the things that will keep the principle or the equation stable. So when we talk about the gene pool, like I told you that it will have all the types of genes and their alleles that are found in the population. For example, if this allele or this gene is dominant one, this is recessive, this is homozygous, heterozygous, it's like a total count of all of that. What are the possibilities? This condition is homozygous dominant. This condition is heterozygous. The last is homozygous recessive. Capital A and small a are alleles of each other. Then they talk about what are the factors that would affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So there are 5 factors known to affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Gene migration, which is also called as gene flow, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these are the 5 factors that are known to affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So when migration of a population happens to another population, obviously, like let's just say here, there's a certain type of population and few population from this side moved to this area. So now new things are added, new types of alleles are added. This is going to change the frequency. So they are added at one area, they are lost from the old population. There would be a gene flow if this happens multiple times, if the migration takes place multiples of times. If the same thing is happening by chance, we call it as genetic drift, meaning by chance, they just say the area broke off. Like for example, if this is a geographical area, because of something, this area got broken off. So whatever organisms were there, they will become their own species and they are getting lost from here. So they'll have an impact on the equilibrium. So when they'll move to another, like they'll become another species, This area which got a genetic drift happened, or continental drift happened. So now sometimes the change in allele frequency is so different that in the new sample of population, they become a different set of species only. This is called as founder effect. Okay, they are like because of any XYZ reason, they got drifted apart. So now they become the founder of this particular area. They become a separate species of their own, nothing in relation to this. Is it clear, students? Clear to everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what they are saying. So gene flow, it is the movement of genes into and out of the population. Such movement occurs due to migration. Then second is genetic drift. So genetic drift, it is an evolutionary force operating in small population, and this is happening by chance. By chance if the area got split, by chance if the organism went to another location. So genetic drift can happen either by two mechanisms. Founder effect, bottleneck effect. Founder effect is what we just studied. So when a few individuals, they're going to migrate to a different population or different space. So they become their own species or their own population. So we call them as founder effect. Is it clear? So because the frequency is low and they are different, so they become a new species of themselves. Okay, any doubts, students, up until now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now you people note down till here. What is the last thing you people wrote in the previous class? Acquired and this thing is done. Adaptive radiation, was it done or not?
Theory of evolution.
Theory of evolution. Achha, evidence of evolution, were they done or not? This is where you people were. Theory of evolution by Charles Darwin.
Yes.
How many points were done?
3.
Okay, now you people note down. Tell me once you're done and write a little quick, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Done. Done.
Done, students? Everyone's done till here? Yes or no? Quickly respond. Students, are you done? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others? Are you people able to hear me? Jesslyn, Muniba?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so when someone asks you something, respond.
Done, ma'am. Ma'am, done.
Done, students? Done till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
So we discussed about what are the factors that would affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Now, microbial experiments show that pre-existing advantageous mutation, when selected, will result in observation of new phenotypes. New phenotype means new externally observable characters. That will happen. Now, over few generations, this would result in speciation. What is speciation? It is the formation of a species or a new species. Now, natural selection is a process in which heritable variations enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny. A critical analysis makes us believe that variation due to mutation or due to recombination during gametogenesis. Recombination means generation of non-parental type. Non-parental type. So now see, basically these things that we are saying that will affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So ultimately what will it do? It will affect the whole entire, you can say equilibrium, which is said to be constant, but it will not remain constant. So these characters, they attain a peak value. What kind of value? See, for example, where is that? Wait, I'll show you. They attain peak values depending upon the frequency that comes out more. See, we have discussed what gene pool is, right? And all of that. Now, talking about how does it. So, types of natural selection, that is stabilizing, directional, and disruptive. See in this diagram, it is shown how the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, this one. Okay, like which are the types of traits that would affect it and how the peak would be observed. So this is 1, 2, and 3. These 3 we have to discuss. This is a normal case scenario wherein a mid value is obtained and this is a stabilized. This is the normal constant type. Now after that, let us see how this happens. So stabilizing type, then there's directional, there's disruptive. So stabilizing natural selection is when type of natural selection in which more individual acquire a mean value. Mean means like a, you can say average of the 2 or more values. So it operates in a constant environment. Mean is selected and both extremes, like the extreme like 0 and 100, both are rejected. Mean phenotype remains the same. The peak gets high or narrow, and it is the most common type of, you can say, this is the equilibrium type is there. For example, the birth weight in human infant, like 5.5 pounds mostly causes death. 10 pounds again causes death. And then the mid value, which in which the human infant would survive, that is 7.3. So this is the mean value that will give you the stabilizing time of the natural selection. So in this case, the number of individual and the phenotype it produces, it has a mean value over here. Okay, the average of the two. Then comes directional selection. Now, directional selection is a type of natural selection in which more like other value other than the mean value is taken into account. So when will this happen? This will happen when the environment is not constant, when it is changing. Okay, one extreme is selected, either one higher extreme or one lower extreme. Other extremes are rejected. Mean value also changes and peak shift. Like since it was in the middle here, but now it will either shift to the left hand side or to the right hand side. The best example is industrial melanism. So either the peak will go this side or go that side depending upon the value or the, you can say, character that is selected. Then the third is the disruptive natural selection. So here, instead of only one, instead of mean value, when more then one value is selected by nature. So that will be disruptive, wherein you will get two peaks. Peak number 1, peak number 2. This is called as disruptive kind of natural selection. So type of natural selection in which more individual will take a peripheral value of the character. Right here, like two peaks are observed, mean is nothing over here, extreme, both the extremes are selected, and again this also happens in the changing environment. Is it clear, students? The three types are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, now we have the evolution of various different organisms. Then we have the evolution of humans, and then this chapter will end. So first, we'll talk about the variation and how that is happening. So about 2000 million years ago, the first cellular form of life appeared on Earth. 2000 million years ago. First cell appeared on Earth. Now, obviously, they came from the non-cellular parts, right? How the chemical evolution took place into biological evolution. Now, these cells or the cellular form of life, some of them were releasing O2 and some of them were utilizing the O2, right? The reaction could be similar to photosynthesis, right? Wherein the CO2 is used and O2 is released. Slowly, single-cell organisms became multicellular life forms. By the time of 500 million years ago, the invertebrates were formed and they were active. Jawless fish probably arose around 350 million years ago. Then plant evolution also took place. Seaweeds and few plants existed around 320 million years ago. We are told that the first organisms that came on the land were plants. And depending upon the plants, other organisms came. Right? Fish with stout and strong fins could move on land and could go back into the water as well. It had a dual quality. This was about 350 million years ago. In the year 1938, this is important to remember, this is a documented fact, that a fish was caught in South Africa that was a coelacanth, the name of it, which was thought to be extinct. Like it was thought that this doesn't exist anymore, but it was found in 1938. These animals, called as the lobe fins, now they evolved into the amphibians of today because they had a dual life. They were living in water also and on land also. But we don't have any specimens of those organisms left with us today. But these were ancestors of the modern day frogs and salamanders, meaning all the amphibians. Now, from the amphibians, the evolution of reptiles took place. Now, reptiles, they had a thick, scaly skin and their eggs did not dry up in the sun. Whereas amphibian eggs, they dry up in the sun. That is why they lay their eggs in the water. Again, we see only their modern day descendants, that is the turtles, the tortoises, and the crocodiles. These are the reptiles that we see today. In the next 200 million years or so, reptiles of different shapes and size dominated the earth. Giant ferns like pteridophytes, they were also present, and they all fell to form coal deposits, meaning they became petrified. Petrified means sort of like fossilized. Some of these land reptiles, they went back into the water and evolved into fish-like reptiles around 200 million years ago. One such example of which is ichthyosaurs. Now, during that time, like in the early times, there were large reptiles present, such as the dinosaurs. The biggest one was the T-Rex, that is Tyrannosaurus rex, which was about 20 feet in height and had huge, fearsome dagger-like teeth. Around like 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs suddenly disappeared. Now, what caused their disappearance is still unknown. Some say that they got evolved into birds. Some say that they completely died because of the climatic change. But no one knows what happened. But again, small-sized reptiles of that era. They still exist today. Talking in terms of the mammals, so the first mammals, they were like shrews, very tiny. Their fossils were very small sized. Mammals were viviparous. Viviparous means they'll give birth to the young one instead of laying eggs. And they protected their unborn inside their mother's body. Mammals were more intelligent in sensing and avoiding the danger. When reptiles came down, mammals took over the earth. And different types of mammals at different areas. So in South America, mammals like horses, hippopotamus, bear, then rabbit, all of these kind of organisms were found earlier. Now, due to continental drift, for example, this is a piece of land, because of earthquake, because of flooding, it got divided into 4 parts, right? So, because it got divided, now this one part, it became the Australian area, the Australian continent, and the mammals that were found in the Australian, they are called as the marsupials, right? Right, marsupials are there, placental mammals are also there. So lest we forget, some mammals live wholly in water, such as whales, dolphins, seals, and sea cows. These are some examples. These are aquatic mammals. Evolution of horse, elephant, dog. These are special theories of evolution or stories of evolution. This much is clear how from starting from the cellular form of life up until the water or aquatic mammals, the land mammals, all the kind of evolutions are clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. After that, we come on to the last topic of this chapter, that is the evolution of man. So when we talk about the evolution of man, so early men and how today's man is, that is what we're going to study. So what are the basic names of those groups of man-like organisms? There's Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, Australopithecus, there's Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and lastly the ones particularly the ones we are, not this one, we are Homo sapiens, right? These are the ones that we are. So when we talk about that, about 15 million years ago, primates called as Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus, they were existing. They were hairy, they walked like gorillas and chimpanzees. Ramapithecus was more man-like, whereas Dryopithecus was ape-like. Few fossils of man-like bones, they have been discovered in Ethiopia and Tanzania. Now, these revealed hominid features, leading to belief that 3 to 4 million years ago, man-like primates walked in Eastern Africa. They were not taller than 4 feet, but they used to walk upright. Upright means straight. 2 million years ago, Australopithecus, they lived in the East African grassland. Evidence shows that they hunted with stone weapons, but they ate fruit. Like their diet was vegetarian. Then some of the bones, among the bones discovered, were different. This was more human-like, called as Homo habilis. Now the brain capacity, the cranial capacity used to be 650 to 800 cc. Cc stands for cranial capacity. Now these Homo habilis also, they did not eat any meat. Then another kind of fossil was discovered in Java in the year 1891, and this revealed the next stage, that was Homo erectus, which was around 1.5 million years ago. So now they had a larger brain, around 900 cc, okay, and accordingly they ate meat. They used to hunt and eat meat. The Neanderthal man with a brain size of 1400 cc, they lived near the East and Central Asia. Almost 1 lakh to 40,000 years back. They used to cover their bodies and they used to bury their dead. Homo sapiens, they arose in Africa. This is important to remember. Where is our origination place? It is Africa. And we move across continents and became different races. Some people are Asian, some people are Caucasian, different types. So during Ice Age, 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, modern Homo sapiens arose. Prehistoric cave art, like when people used to live in the cave, they used to draw figurines in the cave like this to tell stories and stuff. Right, so this was a cave art which was seen, and it is found at the Bhimbetka rock shelter in Raisen district of Madhya Pradesh. Important. Agriculture came around 10,000 years back, and then human settlement started. So this is how the evolution of humans take place. Now you see the comparison analysis of the skulls of different organisms, right? That were human-like. For example, the skulls of modern human, this is the one, Homo sapiens, right? Then we have the skull of a baby chimpanzee and the adult, which is very much like the adult human skull. Not exactly, but very much alike. This much is clear, students?
Yes.
Any doubts?
No.
All right, okay, students. So today we have completed this evolution chapter. Now, as far as the notes are concerned, I'll send you these PDFs so you people can complete your notes and start studying this chapter. Now, tell me one thing. After this chapter, which is the next chapter? Tell me. Check and tell me. Not tell me. You'll not tell me. Anyway, let me see. I think it's microbes in human welfare. Anyway, whichever chapter it will be, we'll start a new chapter from tomorrow. Until here, do you people have any doubts?